So today, focusing on, we've got some of these verses. You can see there, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما لهم به من علم إن يتبعون إلا الظن وإن الظن لا يغني من الحق شيئا. That's in Surah Najm. There are a few verses in the Quran with similar meanings and similar indications that you see conjecture, this dhan. You see, dhan can mean thinking, dhan can also refer to suspicion. Now, this verse as well, Surah Al-Hujarat, that you can see there, verse 12. And I'll leave that there so you can read it as well. That Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ijtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann. Avoid much of suspicion. Dhan can mean that suspicion. That inna ba'da dhanni ithm. That some of this is a great sin. Now, a sin here, meaning it is a great harm. Okay? وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا, and do not spy. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا, and do not backbite. But this as well here is more that it's about that same thing, that suspicion is going on. See, this suspicion, this spying, this spreading news, making claims. أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. It is as though you are eating the dead flesh. And this also, people just refer to it as the allegory often, but also the fact that this is what it often leads to. It can lead to death, and in some cases, ridiculous massacres. It can lead to all kinds of social instability and tragedies. Inna Allah tawwabur rahim. See, Allah ends it by saying, Inna Allah tawwabur rahim. Allah does turn back to you if you turn to Him. And when He does turn to you, He's merciful. And this is a similar, on a similar note, also teaching us that وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't pursue, don't follow that which you don't have true knowledge of. إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Surah Al-Isra. Now, what's interesting about that verse is Allah then goes on to mention إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ. You see, the blessing of sight, the blessing of hearing, the blessing of cognition, of fu'ad, emotion. All of this is accountable, meaning do wonderful things with it. There's so much great to do with this. Why are you getting caught up in all of this negativity? You see, how many people, so many people in their lives, they will encounter, let's say, dark stages of chapters based on this way of thinking, this suspicion. اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. Allah says stay. Now it's interesting, Allah doesn't say stay away from all suspicion. Why not all suspicion? Because human beings, you see, it's within our heuristics, within the way the brain works. It has schemas. We react. So for example, we have intuition as well. Sometimes a person can just get a feeling, and they get a hunch as well for something. And this, on many occasions, can save lives. See, a person could get suspicious. I don't like the way, what's going on here? And that could save people. It could save the loss of wealth. It could save the loss of... so many things have often been prevented, and harm has been kept at bay by people, their alarm bells, their intuitive suspicions being aroused. So it's true that there are many occasions where this has to be adopted, this has to be pursued. But most of us will, as humans, on many occasions use these faculties for just useless, futile stuff. I wonder what Yeah, I wonder what's going what gossip is going on. This kind of uh and this is just useless. This is just useless. Even if it's entertaining, but it's useless ultimately. And some is more harmful than others. So this whole thing of being, and in fact, on so many occasions, you could take anything. Take relationships. This is a common one. People will be like, yeah, I wonder what he's up to. Or I wonder what she's up to. Why does she dress like that? Where does she go? Where does he go? What does you see? The problem with this line of thinking is you've already set upon a path, the end of which will not be pleasant. You've already set upon it. Now it's just a matter of time. This is the whole thing. This is the point in Surah Al-Hujarat that look, ijtanibu. It's different if things are there in life. If things appear to you, you deal with them. If they don't appear to you, don't go excessively seeking things out. That in the other verse of the Quran, that لا تسألوا عن أشياء تبدى لكم تسؤكم. In these things, if these things are made to appear to you, they will only be harmful. Don't. Leave it. If things are good, be grateful and focus on more good that you can do. Allah says that إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. And look at this. And one way is, why did Allah use the word ulaika? Ulaika is used to refer to people or a number of people, not tilka, which could be used to refer to the plural of objects. Ulaika is often for human beings, and here, although it's referring to things like vision and auditory faculties and cognition and emotions, not technically referring to human beings. But one way of looking at that is, okay, fair enough, these are inhuman beings, but because this is how grand these things can be when used in an effective, positive way. Just think about it. That an eye that sees good, that tries to do good, something that tries to, let me spread a nice word, let me be positive, let me bring a smile on someone's face. Let me try and feel what somebody's going through and help them. So these are the things, and so often we get caught, people will get caught, and then there'll be self-imposed misery. And so this is an amazing, honestly, a beautiful example in the Quran of saying, look, just stay away from this stuff. And people say, oh, but people might be up to stuff. It could be parents, trying to say, well, it could be partners, husbands, wives, it could be in work, it could be other stuff. And I'm not saying you don't need to have a level of astuteness, but there's a fine line where it turns into just suspicion. And what this does is it can get into the veins. And that hadith, and some people, this is how the devil works in the veins. It gets so deep that a person can't shake it off. And so, yeah. And so I thought this is such an important lesson. And it's something so simple, but so commonplace. And it may be difficult to train, but it can be so easily avoided. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought we'll cover that. I did want to give some examples, some historical example. Because another thing is, you see, and I wanted to share the example today of an incident from the time of the early Abbasids. Allah, al-Khilafa al-Abbasiyya. Right now, and it's such a mesmerizing time from Islamic history, when the Islamic world, one could argue, is at its peak, entering its golden age. Allah, opulence, wealth, prosperity. So this is what I want to speak about. Because, yes, somebody here said that the problem with delusions of grandeur, paranoia, the world being against them is so debilitating. It is, because we can sometimes be put off by people's actions, but then we have to always check ourselves. You see, keep it always healthy, keep it positive, people. Don't let people turn you into something you don't want to be. Don't make them bring out a darker side of you. Don't make them trigger you into becoming your shadow, so to speak. That's not that. Don't let them rob your light. Okay. You must always shine bright. That is who you are. Live to that potential.